Are you tired with your 9 to 5 job? Are you stressed? Do you want to quit your job and start a business or career that you love? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, my career reinvention series is a series of interview with successful professionals who have shifted from employment through entrepreneurship and have started businesses they love. Today, I'm very blessed. This is one of the person I look up to as a coach and as a business owner. His name is Julian Canita. Let me read a quick story of who Julian is so you get to know more about him. Julian Canita is a Facebook ads coach who helps online entrepreneurs make meaningful connections on social media so that can joyfully attract their aligned clients with these. His vision is to live in a world filled with joyful expression and limitless possibilities. Apart from teaching Facebook ads, he's also an ICF certified executive coach, a transformational life coach, a human design leader, a podcaster, an author, a DJ, a husband, and a father. Wow, that's a lot, right? I think what I can say about Julian, I met Julian, I think 2, 3 years ago. And his story and his journey is something that inspires me every day. You know, whenever I see, oh, Julian is doing podcast now, I can do that too. Julian was able to sell this $1 million courses. I mean, I can do that too. And I think you need people, you need to surround your life with people who are supportive and who understand and who is actually living the dream life that you wanted. And I'm very blessed because Julian is one of my coaches who helps me stay, with grace and ease as transition and evolve my career from being the CEO of my own business. And today, for those of you who don't know me yet, let me introduce myself. My name is Wanda Kalupig. I am the 2021 number one most influential Filipino on LinkedIn and the first Filipina LinkedIn live broadcaster. After suffering from burnout in 2014, I've committed to helping others live happier lives. And this is one of the things I do. I do these interviews because I want to understand what are the struggles, stories, and successes of these people because I believe that if these people was able to succeed in their own lives, you can do the same. So let me bring Julian on stage. Julian,
Yay!
thank you for saying yes.
Yes, thank you, Wanda. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
So I think, Julian, let's move now already to the first question.
Yes.
Because, I actually listened to your podcast last year, I think, towards the end of the year. And I was like, Julian needs to be on my career reinvention series after listening to that story. Maybe you can give us a story of your career evolution series.
Yeah, all right, sure. Again, thanks for having me. Yes, looking back, I didn't expect like the career path that I eventually went through, which I can talk more about later. But basically, after graduating from university, um, after about a year, I got a job in the hotel as hotel reservations. That was my degree. Graduated from hotel restaurant management. Um, and I spent a couple of years there, got promoted to supervisor, and then um, in 2015 had to resign because I was gonna move to a different country because I just got married. My wife was an expat in Malaysia, so after getting married, I moved in to be with her. All the while thinking that I was gonna get a hotel job there. Um, Long story short, I was not able to get a hotel job there because of certain concerns and issues. Um, and that's when I started to explore entrepreneurship. Now, mind you, I did not have any experience or knowledge with entrepreneurship. I did not have anyone in my close circle of friends and family who were entrepreneurs. So this was really something I didn't know what was going to happen. So I just dove into it. I started my own food listings website um, in the island that I was in Penang, Malaysia. That didn't turn out well, but I learned how to use social media marketing, and I realized and I learned that there were other people who were hiring freelancers to do social media marketing for them. So I became freelancer. Working for agencies to do social media marketing. A big part of the work that I ended up doing was Facebook ads. So I learned to master Facebook ads, and in that spirit of wanting to grow my business and grow my own personal development and of course make more money, I also went into network marketing. So I went into network marketing for a while. Again, all while in a different country. Then in 2017, I came back home and I lost my agency clients. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided I'd start my own agency. So in 2017, I became a Facebook ads agency owner. That became my main business, and that's running until now. And throughout that process, in the spirit of supporting the students and clients I've had, I became a teacher, a consultant, and then eventually an executive coach most recently, supporting CEOs in building their businesses. So yes, 10 years ago, I would not have believed that that would have been what I was going what the journey that I was going to go through, and here we are now.
I think I love that story. As you said, right? I think if you look at it, it's only 10 years, but a lot of things happen in between. I think moving from hotel job and then, having this social media experience and to creating your own agency, then moving
Yes,
into coaching and now helping others. And I think, Julian, what I learned, everything that happens in your life has a reason.
yes,
And maybe in Malaysia, I mean, I live in Malaysia also because of my husband's relocation. And I understand the struggle of not getting the job because there are limitations in the country in terms of
yeah,
employment, right?
yes,
And what I love the most about what you said, you did not stop there, right?
yeah,
I mean, you continue to look for opportunities. And I think everything that happens in our life has a reason and there's always a way out. Now, before understanding more struggles, stories, and successes about this evolution of your career from being in the hotel industry to having your own Facebook ad business, Facebook agency. Now, can you tell just Julian a funny story
yeah,
about about this career evolution? Because I think there's a lot of stories that can be shared. Let me start with mine. I think what happened when I started to move from being an audit manager to training and coaching, a lot of people when they look at my resume or my profile, speaker profile, they will say, how can an accountant speak and train?
yeah,
I mean, there's like a lot of judgment that I only know numbers and all. But thankfully, through partnership and because they have this mock presentation, so whenever I do these presentations, I actually pass them. But without these mock presentations, I never pass anything because right away, when they look at my profile, they did not make sense, of how can I speak
yeah.
and coach because I'm an accountant. How about you? What's that storyline for you?
Yeah, for me, what I remember was when I was working in the hotel. Or my specific station was right outside the general manager's office. So when the general manager would come out, I would be one of the first people he would see, and I was a studious employee. I was doing a good job, but there was this one time, it's a really legitimate time wherein there was a storm, and I was concerned about the safety of the people. So during work hours, I was checking my Facebook. And it just so happened that after all those years, that was the one instance when the general manager walked out and saw me during work hours logging into Facebook, and I was
Mm.
told that I was not being paid to be on
Oh,
Facebook.
wow.
And years later, look at me now. Look at yeah,
That's good,
yeah,
right? The story has reverse. Like,
yeah,
you know, you're now being paid because you are on Facebook, not the
yes,
other way around. And I love that. I think a lot of people will always put limitations on us. I mean, and it doesn't make
yeah,
it right or wrong. It's only a question of how are those limitations stopping you, right? And
yeah,
I love the cliche how that story turned around already.
yeah,
Okay, I think the next question for me, a lot of people are actually scared of leaving their jobs and
yeah,
evolving into another career or either entrepreneurship because their question is that I have this career I built over the years and it's like wasted. And my take on that is that it's not actually wasted because you have your skills are all transferable in the next journey, in the next career, in the next business that
yes.
you will do. And maybe you can share what are the transferable skills from the hotel, I mean, from that agency you work with to having your own business finally.
Yeah, I think for me, number one is communication, both ways. Listening, being able to listen, um, and to speak well, speak to people uh, globally, you know, not just in the Philippines, but of course, I learned to speak better, to express myself better as I spoke with more people throughout all of these different careers. I guess one of the more important skills really that I learned was sales and marketing.
Mm,
I know network marketing gets a bad rap globally with regards to, you know, maybe the reputation against scams or anything, but I really did learn a lot about sales with that, and I know a lot of train network marketing companies really have good trainings for sales for their team. So it's actually something I recommend with people who are wanting to get started, like looking for a sales job or eventually going to entrepreneurship or somewhere in sales, because it some companies do provide good sales trainings. And then I'd say leadership, especially being promote well, for one, being promoted, starting to have a team myself, and leading my own team as an entrepreneur really helped in all of the other career paths that I chose. And I think one of the skills that I learned was always finding solutions
mm.
to problems. That skill that, you know, if there's something that we don't know the answer to, then everything is figure outable. There are ways to solve that, and I continue to bring that even into my coaching, because that's how I approach solution problem solving for the clients that I have.
Oh, that's good. There's a lot of nuggets of wisdom. But I think what struck me the most, the word you use, figure outable.
Yeah.
But I think, as you said, I also learned every skill that you have is transferable. When I shifted industry from Intel, a manufacturing, and then to airline Emirates, initially I was like, okay, how can I use my tax knowledge? But also when I moved from auditing to coaching and training, it's like, how do I use that? But every experience that you have, and I think the greatest advantage that I can speak to corporates because I work in corporate. I can do training and coaching because in coaching you need to find the problems, right, and then solve the gap. So it's like in coaching is a life audit.
Yeah.
And I think as you said, communication, listening skills, leadership, sales. I actually did network marketing also, and I learned in every business failure that I have, I think I learned a lot. And
Yeah.
sales and marketing is something that is really important because I learned you can have the best product, you could be the
Yeah.
best, but if nobody knows you, if you don't know how to market yourself well, it doesn't make any money at all.
Yes.
And I think that brings me to the next question. You said everything is figure outable. Now, I know as an entrepreneur, it's not an overnight success. There are
Yes.
certain struggles that you face throughout the journey. At the top of your mind, can you share what are those struggles that you faced and how did you overcome them?
Um, so I think the first thing that comes to mind really is letting go, especially as a solo entrepreneur, like starting off as a freelancer, um, because especially start building some of my businesses from scratch, realizing that a lot of the results that I have produced or that I continue to produce requires a lot from me. And at one
Mm,
point, that really equates, or at least in my brain, it kind of started to equate. If I wanted more, I had to do more, right?
mm,
And that at a certain point, that sounded exhausting. You know? And yeah, people would say hire, hire, and I tell my coaches to explore hiring as well. But you know, it's not that easy, especially when you're not used to that. You know, I mean, I've led a team, but I didn't hire them. I didn't, and I came into a company where there were processes already, and this time I was required to do it all from scratch, and that was very difficult. I had experiences wherein I hired teams, but I would still do a bulk of the work. But I was paying them, but I would still do the job because I was not ready to let go. There's a part of it that I didn't know how to, like transferring
mm,
that knowledge, transferring the skill, turning it into a process, into something that they can do. But looking back at it, I recognize that there was also a lot of ego involved. Ego in a
mm,
sense that um, you know, I built this. I'm the talented one, and I'm the smart one. If I could somehow turn my process my strategies and put it in a document for someone else to replicate, then I felt initially that that kind of diminished my knowledge and my expertise. So it was difficult for me to do that, and that was something I just learned looking back. I did not realize that during the time, but I was experiencing like the consequences of holding on to that belief. So even up until now, it's always been a process of learning to let go, delegate. It's not just in delegating, but also in trusting that everything will be okay. Everything that I can set up safeguards and systems and processes for me to make this happen without my effort. And the mindset work behind that is that even though I'm not doing more, I can still create more or earn more, but it doesn't necessarily have to take my effort or as much effort anymore. So that's really been the work behind that.
I think I like what you shared. You know, I learned that when you start entrepreneurship, you have this very big idea, right? And then
Yes,
at the core of it, there's so many things that needs to be done. I mean, you get excited and it gets overwhelming and then you drop it. And then, but also at the core of it, when you let go, I experienced the same. You have the fear of, is this person gonna do it right?
yeah,
And because I am the one who knows it, right? So the
yes,
control is something that's kind of difficult to let go. And
yes,
I think I agree with you. I mean, it's I learned that entrepreneurship is like life. It's like a child. You continuously learn and learn, you continuously grow. There's
yeah,
never ending of this is it. I mean, it's
yeah,
continuously evolving,
for
right?
sure.
I think that actually brings me to the next question. I mean, as you evolve your career from hotel to Facebook ad agency owner and then having this now coaching career that you have, what is your best advice? Because a lot of people either they want to start the side hustle first or they want to start their own. What is your best advice? How did you find that this one is the one that I'm gonna do? How did you create that clarity that this is something that I will be doing?
Um, in terms of clarity, I think for me it was in just I usually say take messy action. Um, it's not clarity doesn't come, or at least for me, clarity didn't come like me meditating and sitting down and realizing this is the answer, right?
Mm,
It was I would try this and then it's I see where it would lead me, and know that even if I try this and it fails or it doesn't work, that it's all going to be okay. That it's leading me towards something. So um, yeah, clarity doesn't come magically. It comes through action, looking at and
mm,
then looking at whatever results you have and then assessing from there, is this what I want? um, and I guess for me, what kind of helped me along the way is, I think for a lot of people, they're afraid to take action because they're not clear whether that is the correct path for them, right? And from what I know, from what other people have shared with me, the fear really there is that if they eventually find out that it's not for them, then they'll feel that they're kind of starting from scratch again. And I think for
mm,
me, what I've come to learn is that you're never really starting from scratch. So like personally for me, during the pandemic, that a popular word was called a popular word that a lot of business owners were using was pivot. I'm pivoting to this,
mm,
I'm pivoting to that. And for me, I don't necessarily agree with that word, because pivoting kind of says like you are going in this direction, now you
mm,
realize there's a mistake, now you're going a different direction. The word I prefer to use, which you used already earlier, is an evolution. Right? You're never
mm,
starting from scratch. You're always a different person from when you were before. Even if you feel that it's a different direction, again, there are transferable skills, there are wisdom and knowledge that you have gained along the way, which you did not have before. So you're never really starting from scratch. So that's I guess that's the advice that I would give. Don't wait for clarity to come. Clarity comes after action, and if you're afraid that you'll be starting from scratch, you're never really starting from scratch.
Actually, that's a good message, right? I also learned, I mean, from what you said, action is the antidote of fear, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you take action, take messy actions, as you said, and then take the learning from there. Because I also heard that when you take action and then the results that you're getting is not what you expect, and it's about recalibrating to find
Yes.
until you get the right results. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing the next right thing. And I think
Yes.
because I used to be a planner, I'm very process oriented. I have to do things from A to Z. But that killed me in the process when things do not go as planned. And I realized, wait, there's no need for me to know everything or do everything the same way, but it's about knowing what's the next right thing for me to do here so I can get the results that I wanted. And
Yes.
actually, that's the next question. They said, life is all about balance. And right
Hmm.
now, there's a lot of people who are burning out, who are depressed, who are stressed. And I think it's all about, I learned personally, it's all about the loss of balance. And I've seen that both from entrepreneurs and both from employees, because as we become busy with our businesses, as we become busy with our, professional work, life really becomes difficult to manage. What are your tips? How do you balance career and family?
Yeah, I can't say that I'm the best at balancing it, but I do my best. And if I were to give advice on it, based on my own experience, I guess what I do and what works for me is that sometimes it can get messy, especially working from home. But what at the very least, what I try to do is I don't we have a saying in Filipino, yung hindi ako namamangka sa dalawang ilog, I don't ride
Mm,
two rivers. If I'm with my family, I'm with my family. If I'm working, I'm working. If I'm alone time, I have alone time. Yes, from
mm,
time to time I probably check my phone, but most I'd say around, if I'm somewhere, 90 to 95% of my attention would be there. Yes, it can get messy, but
mm,
in those messy times, in those segments, when I am here, my intention is to be here. When I'm on a date with when I'm on a date with my wife, I'm on a date with my wife, right? So at the very least, that's what I try to do, rather than having my attention in so many different places. At least I focus on where I am right now.
that's very good. I think it's about being present. I wasn't aware until I think my daughters called me on that. I was like, we're eating, and then I'm talking to somebody, and they were like, but mommy, we're eating.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I started to become intentional about, having this, I'll say, present conversations with my children. I'll tell them to see me in the room. We'll just talk maybe 5 minutes. And I learned also, it's not about having a lot of time, it's about having dedicated time for that
Yes.
person. And I mean, I only maybe spend 5 minutes with my children a day just to listen. But when I give it to them, they feel so valued because they get heard, they get to share, and it's something. And I think, as you said, it's all also about boundaries. When you said, when you're alone, you're alone. And that's something that I started to do. Like, I used to get scared of going out alone, but now I enjoyed it so
Yeah.
much because I learned the solemnity, the sanity of, just reflecting, just being silent and just absorbing what's there. And it helped me appreciate every small thing, from, the trees that I pass through. I mean,
Mhm.
the buildings that I see. And I think that's the thing that I want to add on to that, which is about, as you said, boundaries. And the boundary, I think it's always personal to you, and that's good to define it, right? Now, Julian, we're almost towards the end, and I think life is about success in many areas of your life. And for me, I learned there's no need to sacrifice one or another. It's about
Yes.
understanding what works for you and creating a life, I mean, that actually translates to that. And what are your tips for those person who wants to succeed professionally and personally?
Um, like for me, I think something similar to what you said earlier about surrounding yourself with the people who exhibit the kind of success, your version of success, that you want to see, and operating from it, not in a sense of being jealous, but operating from the sense of providing yourself with evidence that it is possible for you. Um, one of the one of my favorite stories would always be about Sir Roger Bannister. Sir Roger Bannister was a runner, and
Mm,
during his time, And during his time, they said that it was physically impossible for a human person to run 1 mile in under 4 minutes. But he was able to do it. And as amazing
Mm-hmm.
as it was, that was not the most amazing part. The most amazing part of the story is that once he was able to beat that record, one by
Mm-hmm.
one, all over the world, people started to beat that record as well. Because all it took was one person to show that this was possible. And what I would always we all have different versions of our success. And if you are one of my advice, I guess, would be to look for people, connect with people, surround yourself with people who provide evidence for you that it is possible for you, right? Um, not so much, I mean, if you can get them as mentors or coaches, that would be great. But just being in awe of it and realizing that this is possible. This is possible for them. This is possible for me as well. Yeah.
I like that. As I think it aligns with your introduction, you want to live a life filled with infinite possibilities. And
Yes.
I think that that's also what I learned. I mean, and this is the same concept why I'm doing this reinvention series, because when I was actually reinventing, I remember when I was burnout already, I was asking these people, how did you do it? Right?
Mm.
I mean, how did you know that it's the right time for you? And a lot of people cannot answer that question, or they're not the right fit. But I think when you find the right people who are living that version of success that you wanted, then they can easily guide you. And it could be a coach, a mentor, a friend. And as you rightly said, you reach out to them and you ask them these questions because this is the best way to learn. Now, Julian, this is the best time. Can you please tell others if they want to get some help on their Facebook ads, or if through coaching, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah. Again, yeah, Wanda, thanks for having me. You can find me on all the, not all, but most of the social platforms. Just look for my name, Julian Canita. That could be on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. I'm there. If you're into Facebook ads as well, and if you, particularly if you are a coach, or you have an online course, you can check out the Ads for Courses podcast in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I'd love to hear from you and connect with you on all of these social platforms, and then maybe explore if there's a way for us to be able to be of support for you. We'd love to explore that. Thank you.
I think what I can say about people, I mean, if I were to tell people about Julian, if you want to
Okay.
discover the infinite possibilities for you, then go to Julian, because this is how he will always tweak my mind and say, oh, how about this, And I think that's a gift. And thank you, Julian, for your time. I would like to thank everybody who's watching us on live or on replay. Share this to any person who might need, some inspiration to understand how can they move out of their comfort zone, start career that they love, start a business. It's not about knowing everything. It's about finding inspiration from people like Julian, who was able to do it, and then knowing the next step. Thank you,
Thanks,
Julian. God
Wanda.
bless you.
Yeah, same to you.
Bye.
Bye.